Patience is simple when one is waiting for something of little importance. Biding one's time is easy if it doesn't matter what's arriving. For those who wait for such things as freedom or life, each second drips by glacially, like beating moisture from the walls of a cold stone cell. It is perhaps death alone that can seem to stalk within human stoicism, or strike with viper quickness. Death's role is relative to perspective, even as it remains unchanged. Entropy and energy are ever constant opposites, unending eternity and an eternity of constant endings. For the inmate, anxiously awaiting nightfall, death held little mystery and no fear. Self-ignorance and lack of clarity at the moment of death, however, would be worse than life as a caged animal. His thirst for freedom stemmed from a deeply rooted instinct to face death on his own terms. He knew he needed to be away from this place and its mind-numbing medications, its soul-shattering experiments. He could not recall when or how he had been brought here, nor could he remember how long he had remained a raving madman. Early memories of his imprisonment were distorted sensations of pain, vague clouded days of confusion and horror. Blinding agony in his guts had eclipsed all else for a seeming infinity. Medicated, only tenuously tied to a barely living body, he had wandered hells beyond description. So complete was his detachment from the reality he had been born into that upon his first awakening into conscious lucidity, he had not recognized it. The machines, the cold mechanical invasion of tube and needle into his flesh, the beeping, sighing, and hum of contraptions raping his body seemed only yet another realm of torture. He took it in stride. Flailing and screaming had proved useless long ago. Fragmented as it was, his mind had still sensed that silence was of strategic advantage. Soon the straps and gags went away, and if he was a good boy, they wouldn't come back. It was still weeks and months, however, before anything began to exist previous to his emergence into waking life, hooked to machines that did his living for him. As far as he was aware, he had been born from the womb of demons into a sterile purgatory of bleached sheets and white-smocked acolytes of the Church of Government. Of himself, he knew nothing. They told him he had been badly wounded by a claymore and had almost died. He asked what hospital he was in, what city, what country. They would only tell him he was in the United States. They would only say it was a government-run facility, with lots of soldiers in it. He was too exhausted still to waste any effort wondering at their strange secrecy. Later he would learn on his own that it was a psychiatric hospital, and he would remain until he had stabilized both mentally and physically. They said he was insane. They said he had amnesia. They said he had delusions and perhaps even multiple personalities. Naively he believed them. Willingly he took pills to make him sleepy, Unquestioningly, he swallowed more in the morning that made life fuzzy and hard to follow. Unfortunate side effects, they said. They make you better, they said. He got tired of listening to the things that they said. He still got meds morning and night, but the orderly who watched him take his sleepy pills was becoming lulled by his complacency and didn't always ask him to lift his tongue. For 2 whole weeks he continued to swallow them regardless, just in case the orderly felt oddly diligent. Soon there came a night when he dared remove the capsules after he was left alone, and that night he dreamed for the first time in a year. As unpleasant and confusing as those inner landscapes had been when he awoke to a dawn tinged with a thin glimmer of hope. Patience had just become his most trying ordeal. Freed from the nightly chemical shackling, at least periodically, he began to dream of the hospital at night. It was never completely dark in those dreams, and the details were so vivid he despaired he might face dreams as hopeless as his situation. Still, in those times he was free to wander the halls unmolested, though he never seemed able to leave the grounds immediately surrounding the ward that had become his only home. It was the smallest morsel of freedom, and he cherished it. He had other dreams. He dreamed of battles in hot jungle. He slumbered in the arms of unknown lovers. There were still horrid nightmares, but gradually, as he gained control over his subconscious, they taught him things about his own soul and how to utilize his dreams intelligently. He dreamed, and he wandered, and he explored. It was during these moments of new dreams that he discovered many new things. He learned how to get from his room to the stairs that led down, far down. was during these dreams that she found him and led him still further downwards, down to where the hallways lost their paint, down to where the sterilization was gone and the grimy underbelly of this horrible place could be seen. She showed him how to get to the tunnels, and a small glimmer of hope began to burn within him, because he thought perhaps maybe he'd finally found a way out of this place. He didn't know where the tunnels led, if they even led anywhere. But it felt better to have a goal, to have something to move towards. And even if he went down into the tunnels and never came out again, at least it was better to die a rat in a maze instead of shriveling away like a rat in a cage.